In October of 2010, a storm destroyed an iconic neon sign in Mesa. The animated diving lady at the Starlight Motel smashed to the ground, but soon thereafter, the Mesa Preservation Foundation stepped in to save her. The foundation is raising money to restore the 78-foot-tall sign. The restoration work is being done by neon light artist Larry Graham. His shop is carefully putting the diving lady back together, giving her a much-needed facelift and replacing her shattered neon lights. The overall restoration project is expected to cost about $80,000. If all goes as planned, the diving lady will be diving again by October 5th, the one-year anniversary of her accident. Joining me now to talk about the restoration effort is Vic Linoff, president of the Mesa Preservation Foundation. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
We kind of got a look at her there, but in terms of the diving lady in her prime, describe her.
She was an absolutely incredible. Well, first, nobody talks about the sign as a physical entity. They talk about it as a person. She's got a name. She's the diving lady. And for 50 years, about 6 times a minute, she would do an animated dive from the top of that pole.
And there she goes, yeah, over and over again.
Yep.
Diving lady. And six dives a minute.
Yes.
That's a lot of work.
Well, and you should see her when she has to climb back up to
I was
that high board
say,
again.
Yeah. Where is the Starlight Motel? Where was the sign located?
The Starlight Motel is just west of Lindsay Road on the north side of Main Street in Mesa. The motel was built in 1958 and by 2 brothers from Kansas. And they, well, let's put it this way, in the late 50s, early 60s, a pool was a real amenity, and particularly in Arizona. And if you had a pool, you really wanted to tout the fact that this was a motel that had a pool. So Paul Millett, who fabricated the sign originally, was called in. He fabricated the Starlight sign, which was a smaller sign just identifying the motel, but he was called in when the pool was built to really do something that would be a landmark that could be seen for miles.
And is he a well-known artist, well-known neon artist?
Paul Millett is probably the premier name in neon art in the Valley, and that's really what it is. Certainly signs are commercial, but they require a huge amount of artistic skills.
With that in mind, how much damage was done to this sign?
Well, I don't know if you have some pictures of it, but when she fell, all of the neon was broken. Obviously, a fall from that height is going to crush the sheet metal. What we learned in taking it apart was that there was considerable damage just from age. It was built before some of the codes and waterproofing, so there was a lot of rust, deterioration. Birds had been nesting inside. Under most circumstances, people would say it would be a total loss.
So who decided to restore?
Well, the Mesa Preservation Foundation did. We were meeting to try to do something with the Buckhorn Baths, which is only a mile away. And the Buckhorn was progressing along, and lo and behold, we had this terrible storm last October. The sign fell, and we said, gee, we got to do something about that, because it takes some real skills to put a project like this together, because not only are you restoring a piece of history, you have to go through all the modern codes, permitting, things of that sort. And so we stepped in, and the motel owners have been very gracious and understanding how difficult a project this is, and gave us free rein to put it back together.
Expensive project, too. Was there insurance on the sign?
There was a modest amount of insurance, not nearly enough to cover the, excuse me, the damage. And it may have been based on the original cost. In 1960, it was about $6,000 to build that sign, and it's about $80,000 to repair it.
So who's donating so far to help get the diving lady diving again?
Well, first and foremost, it's important to know that the community is really behind this. We've received over 100 contributions, from $5 to $500. And with those $5 contributions, people will say, it's not much, I know that, but we just want you to know we really support what you're doing. Then the large corporations need to step in, and one of the best partnerships so far is Hunt Construction, Able Steel, and EMJ Engineering are combining to fabricate and install and put new wiring to the pole. That alone is about $30,000 of the cost.
And yeah, and we do have the website is up there now for folks who do want to help out to kind of save this part of Arizona history, certainly the Valley's history. The man doing the repairs is a neon artist by the name of Larry Graham.
Larry is an unusual fellow, and we knew that Larry was the one we wanted to do the repairs because he had been mentored by Paul Millett before Paul died. And when Paul closed his shop, Larry bought most of that equipment. Plus, Larry knew Paul, and there's some great stories. One story is that there's a ladder near the top of the sign if you look at the old photographs. And we were wondering why there would be this rickety 8-foot ladder welded to the frame of the sign. And Larry said, I know exactly why that is. Paul's crane only went that high, and he had to get up that much higher. So he welded himself a ladder.
But now, with this restoration work, will the diving lady look exactly the same? Will there be changes?
The changes that you will see are not anything, well, let's put it this way, you won't see the changes. We've improved the framework structure, we've lightened the load by using some other materials, but the original skin of all of the pieces represents about 90%. We've only replaced those things which are damaged beyond repair. And we believe that we've done it in a historically sensitive way so that we can actually apply and have this sign put on the National Register of Historic Places.
What kind of time frame are you looking at for getting this completed?
Our goal is October 5th. We'd really love to have a ceremony, relighting ceremony on the first anniversary. I have to tell you that Mayor Scott Smith and Robert Britton, who is president of the Mesa Convention and Visitors Bureau, are honorary co-chairs of the Restore the Diving Lady Committee. They're excited to be out there and turn that sign back on again.
For folks wondering why you're taking so much time and effort and raising so much money to get this done, and perhaps even wondering why we're talking about it for this length of time on Horizon, why is it important? Why is something like this important?
History means a lot in a community. In my view, it's very difficult to find a path to the future if you don't know where you've been. And it's a measure of the quality of life. It's a measure of the community's past. In the case of the Diving Lady, it's part of the highway system that was so important to the development of the valley. 4 highways ran through the valley: Main Street, Apache Boulevard, Van Buren, and Grand Avenue, 60, 70, 80, and 89. I don't know that there's any other place in the country that has that length of federal highways all running along the same street. It represents an era when the growth began to take place. Preserving history also brings what we call heritage tourism. People love to come and see that.
Well, let's hope we'll be able to go and see that. Diving Lady dive again on October 5th. Vic, good luck to you. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.